I want to talk about the Border Patrol. We don't really talk about them very much, and we really should, because as it turns out, what is it, 100 miles from the border in any direction, the Border Patrol, it might even be more than that.
I'd works heard out that 100 miles.
It works out that a majority of the American people technically don't have the constitutional rights they think they have where they happen to be. Because the Border Patrol can
fill in the detail.
Well, the Border Patrol has you have different rights at the border.
Right.
But if they extend the border 100 miles, now you have different rights in 100 miles. So if you live in Boston or New York or any place on the coast, Los Angeles, San Francisco,
yeah,
tough on you.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I recall when this came out when I was still in Pittsburgh, and I recall looking at the map, and Pittsburgh's an inland city, right? And yet it fell within a couple miles of this Border Patrol 100-mile barrier.
Well, I'm going to get to something that's so much worse than that. I mean, look, I live 90 miles from the Mexican border. We see Border Patrol all the time. I'm near the border. We interact with them. And I will say that I don't find them terribly unreasonable. Mm-hmm. They're just, most of these guys are just doing a job. They're doing it well. They're doing it professionally. And believe it or not, here in Tucson, Arizona, or well, there in Nogales, Arizona, across the street from Nogales, Mexico, the vast majority of border agents that I've come in contact with are Mexican. They're Mexican-American, which makes perfect sense, right? You want somebody who can speak a language of the neighboring country.
Right.
Who understands the customs, right? The same way that I would expect up on the Canadian border near Quebec, those border agents should probably have a working knowledge of French.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it all just kind of works. But here's the headline that caught my attention. Border Patrol is monitoring U.S. drivers and detaining those with, quote, suspicious travel patterns.
What does that mean, suspicious travel pattern?
It means, oh, here we go. Because let me read you a paragraph from the interior of the article. They're working with, what, Ant? A predictive intelligence program. Sounds a little like pre-crime, doesn't it?
Right. So, anyway. So if you behave in a way the computer doesn't predict you should behave, you get pulled over.
Allow me to read. The predictive intelligence program has resulted in people being stopped, searched, and in some cases arrested. A network of cameras scans and records vehicle license plate information, and an algorithm flags vehicles deemed suspicious based on where they came from, where they were going, and which route they took. Federal agents, in turn, may then flag local law enforcement.
Wow.
Now, this is the natural outgrowth of a fundamental tension that we have in the law. On the one hand, we say what you do in public is public. And it's because of that sentiment, for example, that we are able to legally record police officers as they do whatever they do, right? No matter where you are in the United States, no matter what a police officer tells you, you have every right to record him as you interact with him or as he does his job away from you. You might not have the ability to walk right up and do it 3 feet away. You may have to keep a distance, but that's in public. You can record him. And this has changed police behavior towards individuals for the better. No question about it. On the other hand, providing tension, we have the guarantee of freedom from unreasonable search and seizure. Well, is this an unreasonable search? They're monitoring my license plate in ways that I can barely comprehend. It's in public, yes, but I feel like I'm being searched.
Well, yeah, what bothers me more, it's not that you feel that you're being searched, it's that you can actually be searched if you behave in a way that their computer says you shouldn't be.
But I'm taking a meta step here, and I'm saying everybody's already being searched.
I see. Okay.
Right. And okay, maybe it's monitored.
Monitor,
But in
right.
this case, being monitored, I think, is the same as being searched. It's not my physical being that's being searched, but my activities are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the FBI would tell you that they can follow you around in public all they want.
Mm-hmm.
They'd probably be right about it. But there's a real tension here. And I think most Americans, if they knew that their travel, and we're talking about everybody's travel here, if their travel, their personal travel in their actual car was being monitored by the U.S. Border Patrol, they would have a problem with it.
I don't know. I don't think they would have a problem with it. I'm just judging from my own reaction. I just take it for granted that given the various traffic cams that are around and even the police driving around with, and they've got recording devices, that pretty much if anybody wanted to know where I am at any given point, they could figure it out. It's just the world we live in.
There's a lot more to the world we live in. Turns out the CIA can take control of your car. Did you know that?
Yeah, I wouldn't. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Why would they want to do that?
Who knows?
Why would they want that ability? I'm just wondering out loud here, but it probably could be so people could drive off bridges and the whatnot.
Here's the piece that bothers me that you haven't mentioned yet. If it's now the case that Border Patrol operating within 100 miles of any border, which covers something like 90% of Americans in their homes, if Border Patrol can use this predictive algorithm and the algorithm flags you and says, for whatever reason, you're behaving in ways the algorithm didn't anticipate, therefore we can pull you over, we can search your car. Now enter civil asset forfeiture laws. If they find something in your car, let's say it's perfectly legal, cash, or you like watches, you got a bunch of expensive watches in your back seat. They can, without any evidence, conclude these must be due to illegal activities, and therefore we confiscate them. They now belong to us. And for people who are unaware of civil asset forfeiture, you can take the police to court here, but there's a presumption of guilt. That is, the police do not have to prove that you obtained the watches or the cash or whatever through illegal means. You have to prove that you didn't.
Good luck proving a negative. Good luck.
Yeah. At Words and Numbers, we spend a lot of time talking about what's going on in the economy and the government, but fundamentally, all of this boils down to one thing. The greatest threat facing modern society is a lack of respect. That people who disagree somehow find it difficult, if not impossible, to discuss their differences in a civil manner. We at CiVL are interested in upgrading civilization by encouraging people to engage with new ideas and ultimately engage civilly with each other. If you share this idea, please join us by subscribing at civil.com. That's CiVL.com.